very good morning. You're watching the special edition of The Vote Bihar 2020 with me, Aarti Subramaniam. Today, the first elections of the COVID era. Today is the first phase of the Bihar elections. Nitish Kumar faces perhaps his toughest battle yet as he's up against 15 years of anti-incumbency. Also on test is Tejaswi Yadav, who's fighting to prove that he is a worthy heir to his father, Lalu Prasad Yadav. And another legacy child, Chirag Paswan's gamble, is going to be put on test. And this election, of course, will also be a test of the Modi factor in the corona era. Remember, the BJP is also facing the vaccine for votes charge from the opposition. And today we will get you the pulse of Bihar as voting begins. Our reporters are spread out at crucial polling stations where, apart from showing you how elections are going to be conducted in this COVID era, they will tell us what exactly the Bihari voter is voting for. Now, joining me on this special morning, Mirror Now's managing editor Vinay Tiwari. Also on the field in Bihar and raring to go are Ayushman, who is reporting from Jamui, and Santya Gora, who is in Gaya. Also joining us from the newsroom is my colleague Gauri Singh, who's going to bring us some key points and key discussion points in this first phase of elections. A very good morning to all of you. Vinay, if I can just start off with you. Good morning to you. Not just is this the first election in the COVID era, but just politically, Bihar is such a crucial and significant election always.
Almost always. I mean, there's never really been an election in Bihar that's not been interesting or absolutely fascinating. But this year, I think the simplest way to understand this election would be it's India's political Rubik's Cube. What happens in a Rubik's Cube? In a Rubik's Cube, you have every color which has been shuffled over many times. And ultimately, you got to get all the colors on one face and even it out. That is exactly what has happened in Bihar in the last 3 or 4 elections. No alliance is in the same shape that it contested the last time. In fact, 3 times in a row now we've seen different alliances. Different parties are partnering with different parties. You also have an unusual situation where there is one party that seems to be alliance in one half of a particular alliance, but not in the other half of the alliance, which is the LJP. So if there was ever a situation which could have gotten more complicated in Indian elections, especially in a state like Bihar, I think 2020 is that year. And then, if that was not enough, you were having an election in the middle of a pandemic. And the reason I mention this is that while the campaigning may have shown, people moving around like normal elections, whether the pandemic will impact the voter turnout today or not is going to be a big factor, because it is quite possible that there are certain sections of the voters in Bihar who may not come out in as many numbers as they would have originally done if there was no pandemic. And this particular fear is largely going to be in cities where people are slightly more aware and slightly more careful perhaps. In villages and rural India, there is that, the fear levels are slightly lesser. So there is that big worry that we have in terms of turnouts. And I think both the big combinations, the Mahagathbandhan as well as the NDA, are very anxious about seeing how many people are actually coming out to vote, because this election is not about who's necessarily has support of one or the other. It is also about who can get their supporters out and get them to vote as well.
That's true, but while it is also about mobilization, I think the Election Commission is also going to be closely watched. There's been so much of discussion and debate about whether the elections should have been held at this time, the manner, the rules and regulations that have been put into place. This is perhaps the first big election that we're seeing. Of course, US is going to polls shortly, but in this COVID era, this is going to be a big election. And we will go across to our reporters to find out whether on ground there's actually any implementation of what the EC has said will happen at polling booths. But first, I want to go across to my colleague Gauri. Now 71 seats are going to polls and Gauri is going to give us a quick overview of this particular phase in the Bihar elections.
Good morning, Aarti. Good morning, Vinay, and good morning to all our viewers. After a high decibel and politically charged campaigning, finally that day has arrived and phase 1 polling has begun in Bihar. Remember, apart from the high-stake battle, as you were rightly mentioning, Aarti, this is the first assembly election which is being held amid a pandemic. So a lot of restrictions, a lot of new things for the voters and for the netas, and also an uphill task for the Election Commission. Let me take you through some of the key things to watch out for in the phase 1 of Bihar elections. more than 2 crore voters in Bihar are going to decide the fate of candidates across 71 assembly seats in the first phase of elections. Also, 1,066 candidates are in the election fray this time, and out of which 952 are men, 114 are women, and the maximum number of candidates have been actually at Gaya town, and the minimum number of candidates are at Katoria in Banka district. Another key highlight of phase 1 is that first polls amid pandemic and a facility of postal ballot has been given by the Election Commission to all the voters who aged above 80 years, and also those who have been infected by COVID or have or as actually suspected to be infected from COVID, and that's why this facility of postal ballots have been given, and over 52,000 voters have opted for postal ballot facility. So this is one interesting thing that is standing out in phase 1. Also, areas that are going to poll today actually includes Anga, Magad and Bhojpur regions of Bihar. Another very important and interesting highlight of phase 1 is that the 8 seats which have gone to polls today are held by sitting ministers in Bihar cabinet. So you can easily imagine how interesting and how tough the battle is going to be.
Well, absolutely, Gauri. Thanks so much for that. Incidentally, the Prime Minister, Vinay, has also tweeted saying, I urge all voters to ensure their participation in this festival of democracy while taking precautions against COVID-19. Of course, another reminder coming in from the Prime Minister. We've seen a number of times in the rallies, scant regard being given to all the precautions that are in place. But Ayushman and Sandhya, good morning to both of you. Ayushman, if I can start off with you, Vinay was mentioning earlier that there's almost been a merry-go-round of the alliances in this particular elections, but just give us a broad overview of the political landscape in Bihar, which has fragmented so much over the past 5 years.
Well, Aarti, good morning to you and our viewers. We are right now in Jamui, where you can see the polling has started, and social distancing norm is something that is being followed. If you talk about the elections in Bihar, Aarti, currently it is the first election that is taking place, and these are the images of the new normal that we are going to witness from here on till the time we are living in COVID era. Currently, the voters are standing apart each other. This is the main model polling booth in Bihar. We were talking about the elections and the landscape of Nitish Kumar and the politics, how it has changed. Aarti, if you remember in 2005, riding on the Jungle Raj angst of Lalu Yadav, Nitish Kumar rode the wave to victory in Bihar. If you see the current situation, the anti-incumbency is something that is being talked at least. In past 15 years, you have seen Nitish Kumar's politics and dynamics changing several times. We have seen the voters talking about elections, talking about development, but now there is something called anti-incumbency. This is something very important to understand here in Bihar, Aarti. Currently, if you see, there is a fragmentation of even the support base of Nitish Kumar, where EBC voters, the women voters, are someone who are actually questioning the loyalties. There are the young faces like Chirag Paswan. There is Tejaswi Yadav, who has been able to pull crowd, and that is something which is actually making the JDU-BJP alliance nervous. You see the voters coming out here, Aarti, the young voters. This is clearly the Jamui city where the voters allaying the fears of COVID are turning up in numbers, but how will it impact the politics? It is something which will be key. But for now, Aarti, you have to understand that this belt is is a belt where more than half a dozen of Nitish Kumar's ministers are there, and 24 rallies have been conducted by Nitish Kumar. We have seen the amount of anger he has seen in this rally. We have seen him losing cool. And the peculiarity of Nitish Kumar is that he has not been on one table in last 15 years. He has been everywhere. So how do voters judge that? That will remain a bigger thing to see in this election, Aarti.
Ayushman, it's good to see behind you, of course, the voters who are lining up there are maintaining that do gaj ki duri as they're supposed to. But just for our audiences, bring us up to speed with the precautions that are in place and how voting is going to be very different in Bihar as they normally are in other elections.
Yes, Aarti. In fact, that is something we are also seeing here. You can see the thermal temperature is to be seen, and currently the voters here are being given the gloves. The markings are being done on ground, where you can see the temperature is being taken of the person who is coming to vote. There is a COVID waiting area here, Aarti. So all those people, the thing that you were talking about, that in the last moment when if somebody comes in a symptomatic condition, this is the COVID waiting area where one can sit for the last 1 hour of the polling and people can vote. This is the waiting area where it is still empty. Currently, if you see, all the voters have been told that they will be wearing masks. Even all those who are not wearing the mask are not allowed to come. And the elections in COVID is something, Aarti, that is, which is a new normal, and it's strange. We have not seen earlier that.
Well, it is the new normal. Ayushmann, we'll keep coming back to you to perhaps speak to some of those people who are lining up to cast their vote there, what they're voting for. But first, I want to go across to Sandhya as well. Sandhya, good morning. First of all, are the voters queuing up? Are they maintaining their distance? Now, Sandhya, for our viewers, is also at Gaya, where a very key person is going to be casting his vote, though he is contesting from the Imamganj seat, and that is the chief of the HAM, Jitin Ram Manjhi. Sandhya, any idea what time he's going to be coming to vote? And just for our national audience across who's watching this election very keenly, the importance and significance of Jitin Ram Manjhi in this election.
So, Aarti, you are talking about a very significant and interesting character here, Jitin Ram Manjhi, who actually was Bihar's chief minister at the time when Nitish decided that he doesn't want to be a part of active politics anymore. He handed over CM seat to Jitin Ram Manjhi, and at that time, Manjhi said that he is going to rule the state with the blessings of Nitish Kumar. But this equation changed when Nitish Kumar wanted his place back, but Jitin Ram Manjhi by that time was not ready to vacate his place. As a result, he left JDU and his party, he formed his own party, Hindustani Awam Morcha. Now, like as Ayushmann was also telling that in this election, at least in this state, everybody has been with everybody. Such is the case of Jitin Ram Manjhi as well. He has been with all the parties, whether it's Indian National Congress, whether we are talking about JDU, whether we are talking about RJD. And the interesting thing is that the moment he actually faces defeat from one party, it started with Indian National Congress, he faced defeat and he left and he joined RJD. Then when he faced defeat from RJD seat, he left RJD and then he came to JDU. This is the graph of Jitin Ram Manjhi. Now, the reason he is important is he actually he formed a party, Hindustani Awam Morcha, and this is one of the party along with VIP and other smaller parties which talk about sub-alliances in this state. And why exactly sub-alliances are going to be important? We are talking about main parties like JDU and RJD, but in all these years, the flip-flops these parties have taken, the alliances they have formed, and that has actually affected their credibility, and that's exactly why parties like BJP get an upper hand. They are trying to portray themselves, and they are not even hiding this anymore. They are trying to portray themselves as efficient and as powerful in the state as JDU. That's why these sub-alliances actually come in picture, and because BJP is taking the help of these sub-alliance parties as well. We are talking about Jitin Ram Manjhi's party, which actually brings extremely backward caste votes here. Now, as if we talk about NDA here as well, JDU also, because if we talk about Mahadalits, we talk about EBCs. Nitish Kumar was the one, Aarti, who actually coined the term Mahadalits. But despite the fact now, BJP's focus is actually to keep Nitish Kumar in check and to cut his stature as well. That's why BJP is focusing on the parties, sub-alliance, smaller parties, which can cut into that vote bank of Nitish Kumar, because of course cutting into non-Yadav vote bank or Kurmi vote bank is not that easy. That's why they're focusing on these particular alliances as well. So HAM of Jitin Ram Manjhi is going to serve that purpose for BJP. That's why when Grand Alliance and specifically RJD is not really entertaining the demands of these smaller parties, BJP on the other hand is giving preference to them. Right. BJP is giving them the seats they are asking for. And this is not just for Jitin Ram Manjhi's case, Aarti. The same is for Vikashsheel Insan Party, VIP. And VIP's Mukesh Sahni actually got rewarded for walking out of the press conference when he thought that his demands were not met, right, because he brings 7% of Nishad community votes to the alliance here. Aarti.
Right. Sandhya, I'll keep coming back to you. Perhaps voters will start lining up in that polling booth in just a bit, but I want to go back to Ayushmann, who is with some voters. Ayushmann, what are the voters of Bihar this time going to be casting their vote for?
Yes, Aarti. In fact, I've got a first-time voter with me. She has been given a rose and also a certificate for voting for the first time. We'll talk to her to know what were her priorities. आपका नाम क्या है?
कुमारी अंकिता।
आपने पहली बार वोट दिया।
जी पहली बार वोट दिया मैंने।
क्या मुद्दे थे दिमाग में जब वोट देने आई हैं आप?
यही कि हमारे जमुई का विकास हो, जो भी बने वो हमारा मतलब हेल्प कर सकें।
तो क्या विकास तो एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है, वो कौन सा कंसर्न था
हमें
जो
जॉब
आपको?
मिले,
जॉब।
जॉब मिले, हाँ
जॉब मिले।
हाँ जॉब मिले। हम लोग बस इसलिए दे रहे हैं कि हम लोग को जॉब मिले।
अच्छा,
हाँ सब।
स्कूलिंग की क्या व्यवस्था है जमुई में, क्या हालत है? स्कूलिंग कॉलेजेस की क्या हालत है?
स्कूलिंग कॉलेजेस सब ठीक है, लेकिन चाहते हैं और भी बेहतर हो और भी अच्छे बने
अच्छा,
और सबको जॉब मिले, जितने भी मतलब पढ़ रहे विद्यार्थी सबको जॉब मिले।
मैम आप इनकी मम्मी हैं, लेकर आई इनको वोट देने के लिए। क्या था आपके दिमाग में जब आप वोट डाल रही थी?
डाल रहे थे कि मेरा जो है अपना यहाँ से जो आई हुई है बाहर से आकर के जो खड़ी हुई हैं उसको थोड़ा सा इतना दिमाग खुले कि मेरा हर गली हर कोना हर व्यवस्था अच्छी हो।
अच्छा,
और मेरे बच्चे
सुरक्षा व्यवस्था की अगर बात करें, जमुई एक लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के लिए जाना जाता है, मतलब सवाल उठते हैं, क्या हालत है यहाँ सुरक्षा व्यवस्था?
सुरक्षा व्यवस्था ठीक है लेकिन थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ है जो कि उसमें सुधार चाहिए
तो
था।
ये था आपके दिमाग में?
जी ये था मेरे दिमाग में।
So you see, Aarti, there voters definitely talking about issues which you normally don't see in elections. This is something where we have been discussing caste and all. But yes, a young voter says that she wants job to be a priority in the elections, and this is what was there on her mind when she was casting her vote.
Ayushman, thanks so much for that. Vinay, that's a welcome change, isn't it? In the discourse in elections in Bihar, where you're talking about jobs, you have both political parties actually fighting over who can offer more jobs. We're talking about issues, not necessarily caste, which of course still has an underlying feature in every election in India, but this is a welcome change.
It is, and I think partly it's being triggered by the after effects of the pandemic. I think the lockdown period made people think. It also made people go through intense distress, and I think of all the states that went through distress, Bihar probably was the worst impacted. I mean, most of the images that we saw all through May and June of thousands of people actually, literally scrambling to get back home. One of the largest numbers were from Bihar. So obviously the distress levels are very intense in that state. And when people have gone, and all through the pandemic, we've been reporting on Mirror now that for us, and I've always believed that this particular reverse migration that happened, and probably the biggest reverse migration since independence of India, it wasn't just an event, it was an emotional event as well. It wasn't just a sociological event. There is an emotion attached to it. It's very hurtful for people to realize that their Karm Bhumi did not accept them or did not allow them to, lead a life of dignity and work. But when they returned to the Janbhoomi, did the Janbhoomi treat them well or not is something that they would definitely have in mind while they're going out to vote.
And that is something which puts a spotlight once again on Nitish and his role. He is somebody who has been the undisputed leader of Bihar in many ways, and this is his test that he hasn't faced in a long time. That Sushasan Babu image has taken a bit of a beating. There has been a lot of focus on how he has handled or mishandled, as some would say, the migrants coming back home.
Yeah, three things have happened in Bihar. I mean, this image of Sushasan Babu, remember, came in the backdrop of a three-term rule by the Lalu Rabdi combine. And I think there is almost complete unanimity that that particular period was absolutely not synonymous with anything positive or development in Bihar. It was a period where law and order was a serious concern. The state was being referred to as Jungle Raj by a lot of people, and there was a great amount of decline in social indices in the state also during that tenure. Once you inherit something like that, even a marginal improvement in your developmental activities will make people feel much better, because it was never really done before. I mean, I remember when the Lalu Rabdi combine was governing that state, traveling between two districts was a nightmare. In fact, one of the big reasons why even in the early 2000s, I mean, between 2000 and 2005, when political parties probably did not have the same level of financial muscle they have now, Bihar was one state where if you would go to the airport, you would see the maximum number of choppers being used for campaigning, because it was impossible to do it by road. If you travel from Patna to Gaya, it would take you 6.5 hours. Naturally, roads have, he did ensure that the roads got improved to some extent in certain parts. The law and order problems, even in a city like Patna, which was really bad earlier. All of us who've been to Bihar know that there was a time in Patna where after 6:30, there were hardly any people in the streets. The sight of families going to restaurants and eating food or being out after sundown was just not there. That, of course, changed when Nitish came in. Now, I think the trouble was that you can easily get carried away by image tags and not realize that states evolve and people move on and they expect more. And in the last couple of years or so, Mr. Nitish Kumar has always attracted the criticism of being slightly inaccessible and being slightly so-called missing in public discourse. And I think that became even more stark during pandemic, which was the time when probably he was the only chief minister of a large state who did not even address his own state, when his state was going through intense distress. His people were actually were suffering the maximum, and he didn't appear to be leading their charge on the front. I mean, even in the neighborhood Jharkhand, for instance, the chief minister showed a lot of proactiveness, at least in talking about the problems.
No, he was far more visible, certainly, the Jharkhand chief minister than Nitish has been. I do want to dwell in a little deeper into the Nitish Kumar factor in this election, but there are very crucial factors, Nitish Kumar and his anti-incumbency test being one of them. But Gauri is going to take us through some key points on why this Bihar election could throw up, for all you know, a huge surprise result.
Right, Aarti, as Vinay was actually mentioning and rightly pointing out that Bihar elections are never dull and always actually sought after by the entire country. Entire country actually follow all the political updates that take place in the state of Bihar. Let me put forth some of the X factors that are going to be in play this time around in Bihar. One very big issue for Nitish Kumar is, of course, the anti-incumbency fear. Remember, he has been in power for the last 15 years and is fighting for fourth term now. Now, will Bihar vote in for Sushasan Babu, as he is known as? Again, we have to wait and watch, of course. Another crucial factor that has emerged in this Bihar election is how LGP parted ways with JDU but continued to support the BJP, which is actually JDU's ally. Remember, LGP chief Chirag has been reiterating that LJP and BJP together will form government after Bihar elections, while BJP is maintaining a safe distance from all these claims that have been made by Chirag Paswan. So what is the exact role of LJP in Bihar right now? Is really LJP is going to be NDA's plan B? Is it going to be the vote katwa or the vote cutter in the Bihar elections, or is it actually BJP's master stroke to cut Nitish Kumar to size? All these questions, something very interesting to look at. Apart from anti-incumbency fears, another big contentious point for Nitish Kumar is, of course, the mishandling of the migrants crisis, which can actually easily backfire for Nitish Kumar. Remember, at the time of lockdown, Nitish Kumar blatantly refused to take back migrants who were willing to return to Bihar and actually cited the crumbling health infra for the same. Now, the reluctance Nitish Kumar showed towards these migrants invoked a lot of anger and also invited a lot of backlash for Nitish Kumar. And an estimate actually said that around 40 lakh migrants anyway returned to the state of Bihar. Now, most of them are still jobless and are still awaiting government's help. And they can be a very crucial and a deciding factor this time round in Bihar elections. Another big important X factor we are looking at right now is that now corona-induced lockdown has actually impacted the job scenario across the country. But when we talk about Bihar, which actually languishes when it comes to the job list, and the unemployment rate here is 11.9% as compared to the national figure of 6.8%. The impact of aggravating jobs crisis is even bigger and even magnified. And the RJD has very rightly touched that nerve in their election campaign and actually created ripples when they promised 10 lakh jobs to the Bihari youth. And so much so that BJP had to come up with a 19 lakh job opportunities promise. Moving on, over the years, Nitish and his party have tried to hard sell that Vikas pitch, the Sushasan pitch, and also have tried to project that Nitish is actually akin to Sushasan or good governance. However, we have been seeing that the Sushasan image of Nitish Kumar has seen a steady decline over the years. Numerous instances have come to fore. For example, the mishandling of pandemic, the crumbling health infra, the mismanagement of floods, outbreak of encephalitis, recent mishandling of coronavirus, and so on and so forth. Now, Nitish opponents also, however, are not very clean or have a very good record. Tejasvi is trying to woo the youth of Bihar by making big promises, promises, by giving a vision of a younger and a more powerful Bihar. However, he's still carrying the Jungle Raj baggage that he inherited from his father Lalu Prasad Yadav. So it is a big challenge for both the sides in Bihar. Another important point to highlight here is the absence of a state leader for BJP. Yes, they have their man in the form of Sushil Kumar Modi as Deputy CM of the state, but apart from him, there is no prominent face that they can bank upon in Bihar. And no other leader has been able to grow taller than Sushil Kumar Modi. And this lack of face in the state of Bihar has actually resulted in BJP getting heavily dependent on Modi factor. Will that Modi magic work for JDU and BJP combined this time around? We have to see. Moving on, another big factor that is going to be seen in Bihar election is that many of the seats which are going to polls in phase 1 have a history of caste-based violence, and that dates way back to 1976 until late 2000s. Now, when RJD was in power, massacres was very, very common in many areas in the late 90s, and some of the areas were like Bhojpur, Kaimur, Rohtas, Arwal, Nalanda, Aurangabad, Jahanabad, Gaya and Jamui. So all these areas have a history of caste-based violence, and that is why during the poll campaign, JDU and BJP tried to invoke and remind the voters of these instances to hit back at RJD. So that will be one interesting factor to actually watch out for. Another big point here is that the equation of alliances and the sub-alliances in both Mahagathbandhan and NDA is pretty complex this time. And it was quite evident while they were holding meetings and parleys to actually arrive upon seat-sharing agreements. Now, Vikashsheel Insan Party and Hindustani Awam Morcha came with JDU and the BJP in later stage. LJP quit the alliance right before the elections and decided to go solo. While in Mahagathbandhan, losing minor allies like HAM and JMM didn't pose much of headache for them because they managed to struck a deal with left parties. Interesting to see how all these things are going to play out for all the parties when the results are out, of course. Another big point which we have to focus upon is that RJD has a very uphill task of filling the vacuum that has been left because of the absence of Lalu Prasad Yadav. Despite all the allegations that he's facing of corruption, of mismanagement and of pushing Bihar into Jungle Raj, the popularity of Lalu is undebatable. He's a mass leader, he was a crowd puller and a big face when it comes to RJD and Bihar. He was a Bihar leader with a national recognition. Now, without him there, the Lalu's absence is going to be a big factor for RJD, and we don't know how exactly is that going to impact RJD's poll prospect. But of course, Lalu Prasad is a force to reckon with when it comes to Bihar. Over to you, Aarti.
Gauri, thanks so much for that. In fact, we have some breaking news coming in. It's been an active morning this polling day. And Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are featured in a JDU act together on polling day. Remember, Nitish has been missing from most of the BJP ads in Bihar, which are focused entirely around the Prime Minister. Vinay, it's almost like Narendra Modi has completely dwarfed Nitish Kumar, something that perhaps Nitish Kumar is secretly smarting under. There's a lot of history to this relationship. Incidentally, a paper ad that focused on how Gujarat had helped Bihar during the floods started, or in many ways triggered, this huge competition between these two people.
Yeah, but the key is that this is an ad placed by the JDU.
Correct.
It's not an ad placed by the BJP.
Yes.
And that is the critical difference, because the JDU needs Mr. Modi more than Mr. Modi probably needs Nitish Kumar. And forget about needing. I think they find him a little bit of a problem or a liability this time. So they don't want Nitish Kumar to be at the forefront. And that's why you see that all BJP posters, at least, do not have Nitish Kumar's picture at all. And that is also what explains the Rubik's Cube conundrum that we were speaking about, of the peculiar stand of the LJP, where Chirag Paswan goes around to say, मैं अपना सीना फाड़ के दिखाऊंगा तो उसमें मोदी जी की तस्वीर दिखेगी और मैं उनका हनुमान हूँ. And on the other hand, he wants to put Nitish Kumar in jail, who happens to be the alliance partner. So this dichotomous position that he has taken, everybody, and Bihar is a politically very shrewd state. I mean, most people in Bihar, they may look, from small towns or in villages, but they're very astute. They understand the political winds much better than what we give them credit for. It's probably the most politically astute state of India in terms of its electorate. And most people in Bihar know. that LJP is currently batting a particular, a slightly dangerous game because it can also backfire, but on behalf of the BJP, because the entire game plan of the BJP is to ensure that Nitish Kumar gets weakened, and in the process, BJP ends up being the single largest party. It's a long-standing dream of the BJP to be that. It's a fractious state. We haven't seen a single party ever dominating the elections in the last 20 years or so. And clearly that's what the BJP is looking to do. And you can see in the way they've distributed tickets in the phase one itself, if you notice, out of the 71 seats, LJP hasn't put up a single candidate against the BJP. All the candidates are against JDU. And a lot of those candidates are actually rebels who were denied tickets from the BJP. And from the JDU. And that will be a huge impact. In fact, the phase one, the impact of rebels which have been fielded by LJP is a critical factor.
Right. In fact, Vinay,